Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Friday the 7th of August 2026. I'm Graham Hughes. You're watching Morning Brew on Hughes of the World. How are you all doing this morning? In the chat, we have Elle and Lost Missionary. We also have Simon Smith. James is in there, I can see. Colin Baker, Graham Haller, Andrew Ray, Saz is in there, Liam, Captain Coconut. Hello, everyone. How you all doing this morning? If you are in the background and you're lurking and you'd like to maybe add a few bits into the chat, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button and wait for 1 minute, and then you can actually join in with the chat. But we have a very strict rule on this channel, which is don't be a twat. So if you want to be a troll, if you want to be horrible, if you want to be bigoted, there's a million other places on the internet that I would rather you spent your time. Okay, don't come over here and bring your toxic mindset to somebody else's backyard where we don't want it. We don't want it here. Go away. There's plenty of places, and it's all right. We know what Rupert Murdoch wants us to think. We know. I've lived in this country. I grew up in this country, and I'm 47 now, so a long time here. Yeah. Long time here, yeah. I know what Rupert Murdoch wants me to think. You don't have to repeat it on social media. It's fine. You don't have to do that, okay? So there's people who'll do it for you, and they get paid. They get paid to repeat the toxic shit that the likes of Nigel Farage and Rupert Lowe and who's that utter gobshite? Oh yeah, Rupert Murdoch want you to believe. What a pair of Ruperts they are. Yesterday, there was a clip of Rupert Lowe been interviewed on Radio 4 about his immigration statement that he made. He said that by 2063, over half of the people in Britain will no longer be white Britons. That's what he said. To which Nick Robinson, the presenter, said, well, God, based on the definition that you're using there, the King of England, Chuck, Charlie, Sausage Fingers, not a white Briton, according to the definition that this absolute gobshite Rupert Lowe was using, because given to him by Elon Musk, who's a massive Nazi racist scumbag. He's not a true Brit. He's not a real British. He's not a white real white British person. The King of England doesn't pass the purity test of these fucking Nazis. It's quite impressive. It's quite impressive how fucking horrible these people are. Like, from a distance. Wow. Mr. Stark dropped my phone. I'm sorry, Shropshire Chris. I did all right this morning. I actually managed to get on for 1:15, didn't I, Dad? Oh, he's kind of asleep. You all right? He's kind of talking to himself. You all right, mate? Yeah. For those of you who don't know, I'm in Liverpool at my mum and dad's, and my dad's he suffers from dementia, and he's just chilling out. He's in a hospital bed in the other side of this room. So it's got this, I can do my show and keep an eye on him, make sure he's all right. But yeah, it's well, it kind of puts things into perspective, really, doesn't it? Let's talk about toxicity. Every single surface water body in England fails chemical status test. Every single one. The Environment Agency assessment covers rivers, lakes, estuaries, etc. The main pollutants driving this failure of chemical status test: mercury, PFOS stroke PFAS, which I think are like forever plastics and things. And then you've got PBDE, flame retardant chemicals. These are persistent chemicals. They accumulate and can remain in the environment for decades. Just less than 15% of England's surface waters achieved good ecological status. The current legal target for good chemical and ecological status, is hoping that by 2027 things will improve. And funnily enough, I did mention 2063. That's going to be the year that the King of England is no longer regarded as being British by Rupert Lowe and Elon Musk, who's not even fucking British. He's a racist apartheid era South African. But you know, the King of England, not white enough for them. Not white enough for the racists. The King of England, because his dad was Greek. That's quite something. I'm really, I'm not surprised, and I'm not disappointed. It's kind of what you expect. Do you know what I mean? From these people, but the fucking audacity of it. I mean, imagine someone saying that back in, I don't know, the racist 1970s. There's a TV show, going on about how the Queen of England had chosen a black man over a white man to marry because the guy was born in Corfu. It's remarkable how evil and stupid these racists are. Why don't we just stop paying for water? And when they ask why, we tell them we're not providing an adequate service. If enough of us do it, they will have to do something. Well, no, they'll just fall on their sword. Right? Well, they won't fall on their own sword. They just declare bankruptcy. They don't care. They've made enough money for their shareholders, and then the taxpayer will be left holding the can. This is why Labour are finding it very difficult to unprivatise, to nationalise the water. They're finding it difficult because these companies are in so much debt, and the government, quite rightly, doesn't want to lumber the rest of us with that debt. But I'm with Fergal Sharkey on this. I'll just say, tough. You invest in something. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Whatevs. So yeah, I was just reading that a German hospital that cleans cholesterol from blood may remove forever chemicals. That would be nice. That would be very, very nice. But yeah, some persistent contamination means England may not achieve good chemical status until 2063. The current legal target is 2027. And we're not going to reach it till 2063. And pollution sources include water companies, obviously sewage, but also agriculture, fertilizers, pesticides, industrial chemicals, intensive poultry farming. And the UK is being singled out for criticism against these forever chemicals, PFASs, because we take weaker action than the rest of the European Union. Oh no, we're not in the European Union anymore. We can just do our own thing. Yeah, you're happy now you can do your own thing. The EU stopped you from doing that thing that you wanted to do. Probably something that you can't actually describe to me that you wanted to do, that you can now do because we left the EU. Trade with Burundi. Yay. Cool. Good. I'm glad we can do that now. Because we couldn't have done that within the EU. It's funny you ask that question to most normal people who aren't born billionaires, whatever. And they'll be like, well, the EU wasn't, they can't really think of anything that the EU was stopping them doing. They'll come out with something that was possibly, written by Boris Johnson in the Telegraph 30 years ago, where he said, oh, they're trying to take away our bendy bananas or something, right? But the reality is, you and I gain nothing by us joining leaving the EU. We just lost. We just lost everything, really, everything all at once. But the rich, they gained. This is why they wanted to do it. And it's not just tax evasion. They wanted to pollute the living shit out of our country. They wanted their grouse moors. They wanted their golf courses. They wanted their money to be squirreled away in offshore bank accounts that can never be touched. They wanted to pay no tax. They wanted massive subsidies that, weren't very well vetted. Just give them the subsidies, eh? This is what they wanted, and they got it. They got it. They got it. This is why when people call up LBC and James O'Brien says, "What EU law are you most happy that we've done away with?" No one can give them a straight answer. And the reason for that is millionaires don't ring up LBC. The people who have got an answer for that question of what did they achieve by us leaving the EU, it's the filthy rich, the polluters, the toxic people, the people trying to destroy the fabric of our society. People like Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage, absolute grifter scum. He's done more to divide this country than any other person since Oliver Cromwell. Have a think about that. Have a think about that. Since Oliver Cromwell. It's mind-blowing, isn't it? So, meanwhile, sovereignty. Yeah, the sovereign individual. Didn't Rees-Mogg's dad write a book about that? 0 degrees in Auckland Central. Oh, wow. Crispy morning. Ungender everyone and let just people come in, different flavours one day. Are you talking ungender everyone? Do you mean like everyone gets ungendered, or of all the toilets ungendered, so you can just go and piss where you want? I mean, what? Just what? Just yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? So Chris Bennett from the Wildlife Trust makes this striking comparison. If a hostile foreign state poisoned every waterway in England, the government would regard it as a national emergency. And that's a really good line. Really good way of putting it. A hostile foreign actor poisoned every single watercourse in the country. And there's a lot of blame to be dropped at the feet of Ofwat. What the fuck is the point of Ofwat? Like, Ofcom has to check communication, so it covers the internet, it covers phones, it covers TV shows. It's got a huge remit, right? Ofsted, it covers the schools that us normal people go to. These private schools don't have to be inspected by Ofsted unless they want to be. Although Labour are changing that rule. But, because of child safety and everything. Safeguarding. But here's the thing, right? Like, Ofwat, they've only got about 8 companies to keep an eye on. 8 in the whole country. And like 5 people could work for Ofwat and do the job that needs to be done. What do you do? Okay, so we've got these fucking 8 companies all across England, right? Yeah. Okay, well, I want you to do, go out with a measuring stick thing and measure the pollutants in the water in this river that's covered by this, this particular. All right, we've found some pollutants there. Okay, well, come in. All right, we're gonna shut down your operation. Why? Because we found pollutants in this river. Oh no, it's all right. There's pollutants in all the rivers. Yeah, we didn't need to check that. We just need to check one river. It's got these pollutants in. You put those pollutants in there. It's your job not to put the pollutants in there. So not only are we going to put you all in jail now, we're going to take your company off you and give it to someone else. How about the government? I mean, it's not a big job, is it? Am I just undermining how big this job is for Ofwat? I mean, does it have more than 5 people working for it? Because it doesn't do fuck all. It's supposed to protect the waterways, and what's it doing? Nothing. Not what? Shite. Absolutely shite. Not fit for purpose. Please watch Dirty Business on Channel 4. Absolutely tells you about water companies. A damn good factual drama. Yeah. Didn't they have a deal that the water companies themselves had to measure the water, and they'll come back and say, yeah, it's fine. And Ofwat went, all right then. Because we've only got 5 people working for them. But Graham is more fun counting the money than checking the rivers. I guess so. But what's the point? Ofsted also inspect nurseries and childminders. Do they inspect people who homeschool? They're the people I'd want to be inspected. Keep an eye on them. Because if you're going to abuse your kids, I mean, not that, I'm not casting aspersions on people who homeschool, but if you are going to abuse your kids and you want to get away with it, not letting them go to school where other people will see them each day. I mean, Lord Shouty! Hello, Lord Shouty. Good morning to you, sir. I hope it's a sir. Are there shy bin voters like shy Tories? I don't know. I don't know, my friend, but thank you for the super chat. That's really kind of you. And that reminds me that I need to set a goal. Goal. So I'm clicking things with my mouse as I say the word goal. Oh, I'm a bit special. Okay, so let's do this, and we can maybe get in the bin. Do you want to get in the bin? In the bin. Remember, Graham, off what used to be good for privatisation, but then the Tories underfunded it, and they're now toothless to do anything. They cannot even test the water properly. It's mad, isn't it? Isn't it proper crazy? Like, what we've allowed this country to become. While the Tories and the refuckers and the UKippers and the Brexiters have been, look at this, rah! You know, first of all, it was the EU, now it's trans people, and then once they've finished with that particular war, they'll move on to something else. Look at the shiny object, look at this, rah! Doesn't it make you angry? Doesn't it make you angry that this thing is a thing? It's so angry. Meanwhile, they're just pumping fucking sewage into our fucking bloodstreams. And everyone's like, yeah, this is fine. I'm drinking their coffee. 2 Christmases ago, my sister swung a punch at me that knocked my Christmas hat off. I was wrong and thoughtless to throw the Christmas log, 3 mince pies, and bowl of sherry trifle at her. OTT? Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, fair enough. I don't really want to get into that, Kimberly. I don't want to get involved. I think that's a family dispute that you need to sort out. Although it does remind me that time I was in the western desert, which is confusingly in the east of the Sahara. Anyway, I was in the western desert with a mate of mine from Australia, and we were walking through, and we got a bit lost from the rest of the tour group, and we were walking through the desert for hours and hours, not knowing where we were going. And then we saw on the top of a hill, like this big stripy tent, like a big circus tent. And we went inside, and they had all this food inside. It was amazing. I thought it was a mirage at first, but it wasn't. But all the food they had, right, was cream and jelly and custard. And my Aussie mate went, oh, this is a trifle bizarre. I didn't bring my squeaky tank with me. I once asked my Aussie friend what the difference was between a buffalo and a bison. And he went, mate, you can't wash your face in a buffalo. Okay, moving on. We've poisoned the physical environment of Britain. We've taken down trees. We have vast swathes of land which are in the hands of private landowners who don't use them for public goods. They use them for grouse farms and for golf courses and shit. Graham, whilst walking the desert, did you name your camel? Oh god, that's another joke, isn't it? I don't know. Bad stupid P. What? That's been translated. Your bubble. Oh, badum-tis. So, oh yeah, a giant circus tent. Was it a reformed circus? Says you're in fact no. No. The reformed circus would be like a circus tent, but like a haunted circus tent. You know, like in the storm, and it's all like ripped and torn, and there's all bits sort of. You know, and it looks dead scary, and it's full of these like clowns that are actually serial killers dressed as clowns. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, we talked about the physical environment. What about the political environment? You know, Britain has increasingly rewarded anger, grievance, division, suspicion, immigration, race, religion, sexuality, trans people, Europe, national identity repeatedly turned into cultural battlegrounds. Maybe our rivers, our waterways are a bit of a metaphor for the wider political context that we find ourselves in, where people are screaming, strangers are screaming at each other on social media. Screaming all day, we just scream at each other. All clowns are serial killers. Scientific fact, they are. Yeah, all clowns are serial killers, but not all serial killers are clowns. I believe that Hannibal Lecter gets very upset when you call him a clown. Anyway, Drainy, £2 super chat. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you, Drainy. Ever since 2016, the division has become almost unbearable, says Lord Shouty. Yeah. But it's all manufactured. It's all created to divide people. Because people angry and shouting at each other spend more time on the internet. Spend more time specifically on social media. Spend less time on Wikipedia actually learning anything. But yeah, more time on social media. My friend still swims in the Thames. She said it's a great way to meet men. Yeah, well, that's fair enough, because you're not going to meet a lot of fish, are you? Stay in the rivers. Yep, everyone wants to hate someone. Can you blame me for leaving? Says L. Everybody hates somebody. Everybody. Sorry, don't mean to sing. It's too early to sing. Unless you're in the shower. Political disagreements become questions on whether someone is a real Briton. Institutions routinely described as corrupt or conspiratorial, routinely called this, if they produce results deemed inconvenient by the elites in our society. Experts, judges, journalists, civil servants, regulators have become the enemies of the people, according to the trash papers, the gutter papers that, you know, once you're in the gutter, where does that go? Down the drain, into the sewer pipes, and down out into the fucking ocean. Not the ocean, the rivers, actually. But I've got to say, first of all, before I say anything else, I've got a great joke here from You're Ineffective, which also comes with a super chat. They're the jokes I like the best. It says, serial killers never eat clowns as they taste funny. That's a bit like the cannibal that was late to the feast. Yeah, they gave him the cold shoulder. Okay, right. Stop the stepdad jokes. There's only one thing worse than dad jokes: stepdad jokes. But listen, few British politicians have contributed more to this atmosphere, this toxic atmosphere, than Nigel fucking Farage. Not because he invented every grievance, but because he has been extraordinarily effective at finding resentments, amplifying them, and converting them into political power. And he's got this method, the Farage method. He identifies a group supposedly responsible for Britain's problems. He tells people that the establishment refuses to discuss it. For instance, small boats, which we never talked about. We never even mention it. It's never in the news. No one ever talks about the small boats or the hotels with asylum seekers. No one ever talks about that. No one ever talks about the grooming gangs in Rochdale. No one ever even mentions it. It just doesn't get talked about at all. And then he presents himself as the only person brave enough to say it. He's saying the unsayable. He's thinking the unthinkable. But he's not. He's saying things that a lot of people in this country can go, yeah, well, that kind of makes sense if they have been misguided enough to genuinely believe that this is, you know, what they need to do in order to improve their lives. We need to get rid of X. No, I don't mean that X as in Twitter, although that would help. When he's challenged, he claims censorship or persecution Help, help, I'm being oppressed. I can't get a bank account at the bank that the king banks at. Do you know what, darling? I can't buy the fucking castles that the king fucking lives in, all right? You know, calm down, all right? Calm down, young Farage frogman creep. Go on, just calm down, you horrible little twat. I can't bank in the same bank as the king. It's two-tier banking. I've been debanked. Debanked I've been. It's Nigel Farage. And the people who support him, this is what they sound like to me. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Something horrible happened. What? What's going on? Nigel Farage. Sorry, who? Nigel Farage. Sorry, some guy you don't know. Yes. What happened? Is he dead? No, he just couldn't get a bank account in the same bank as the king. Sorry, what the fuck? What? The fucking fuck? What? The fucking fuck? Fuck! Like, what? What is wrong with people? Like, seriously, this was a front page news story for like a week that Nigel Farage couldn't get a bank account at the same bank that the fucking king uses. It's not fair. I had to get a taxi to Parliament the other day. No one gave me a gold carriage drawn by horses. I wanted the same carriage as the king, and all I got was a hackney cab. I mean, come on. Just what? Just Ryan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. That's very, 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 very kind of you. Woohoo! We're blasting through the super chat target. We're at 3 out of 5 at the moment. Simon says every refuck council has dropped environmental controls and climate targets that's worth more than 5 million to someone. Yeah, of course it is. These companies and these individuals that want to do evil things, they just pay someone to get into a position of power and do it. And Nigel Farage is their useful bloody twat. Coco, in my experience, will make you unwell. Okay. Trump's been debanked on his 300 plus accounts due to suspicious activity, triggering automatic alerts. Weird Graham subtitles, fuck the fuck, but leaves the word twat a word alone. What, the twat word? Yeah. Farage is an absolute fucking spoon. He is. But he has got this program. So, identify a group, supposedly responsible for Britain's problems. Tell people that the establishment refuses to discuss it. Present himself as the only person brave enough to say the things that other people don't want to say. When challenged, claim censorship or persecution. Stop being oppressed. When investigated, attack the institution doing the investigation, right? Doing the investigating. And then move quickly to the next outrage before the previous claim can be properly examined. This is reform. We know this. Instructed its councillors. It's got thousands of councillors now, thanks to local elections, right? It instructed councillors to describe the investigation into party donations made to Farage, donations made to Tice, donations made to Refuck, some of which quite possibly break the law, as a institution, establishment stitch up. These people with their gravel drives and they press a button and the gate opens on their landed estate and they go to work and they go, oh, the establishment is oppressing me. Oh. Yeah. The next thing Farage will cry about, the oppression of the Aquamphibians by Wasp and Troy Tempest. Okay, Andy. Yep, seen the bin face election video and the shame thing. I really like the bin face video. He did National Express. He covered National Express by Divine Comedy. I once saw Divine Comedy supporting Radiohead. There you go. There's a double bill you never thought you'd get, eh? Thank you for being awesome. Oh, thank you, Sarah, for A, the super chat, and B, being awesome yourself. Thank you very much, Sarah. That's very kind of you. My work now has hand wave door openers. Yeah. I sincerely hope Darren shows the Trump neck vag vid. Did you hear about this? I don't know where it was. Someone will be able to tell me in the chat, I'm sure. It's like South Korea or Japan or somewhere. And every time they show footage of Trump, his neck vag triggers the detection software that automatically pixelates. You know, in case someone accidentally broadcasts some vagina action. Apparently, Trump turns up yesterday in Las Vegas or somewhere wearing a brand new syrup. Papa's got a brand new syrup. Yeah, he's got a wig on, just like Terry Wogan, who had a wig on, possibly. But yeah, he's got a new wig. So there you go. Have you seen Monster Raving Looney Party Manifesto? Yeah, no, I've seen some of it. Yeah, I think Bin Faces is funnier though, and more practical. If his neck is that baggy, has he thought of putting a peg on the back of his neck and gather it all up? That's not great, is it? Shall we move on? Well, no, I just to finish off, talking about Farage for a little moment here. You know, he is. I don't know. I don't want to talk about him too much, but we do need to have the discussion, you know, have the tools available to us to really pinpoint why he is such a gobshite when we're talking to people. You know, he's called the scrutiny of his finances a coordinated pylon and said he was being demonized. How do you demonize a demon? They're already a demon. That'd be like lionizing a lion. Don't think it can be done. But you look at Brexit. Farage spent decades making hostility towards the EU a mainstream political force. Do you know what Brexit reminded me of this week? Anthony Fauci being questioned in Congress and being made into this big evil person that he's not. The way that those American politicians and the 38% of the American population that follow them blindly now treat Fauci for no reason other than they were told to treat him like that by Trump or, you know, by whoever. It was very similar to the way we treated the EU. Suddenly the EU was made into the big bad. And when we said, why are they the big bad? We got the same answer to the question when we asked why the last but one leader of Labour was so good. It was just because of the terrible things they do, or because of the wonderful things he does. Like they had no answer, you know, just skipping down the yellow brick road. Just we don't know why this person or why this person's good or this institution's bad. We've just been told they are. So yeah, and I'm going for it, full throttle. Hey, UKIP success in local elections in 2013 helped make David Cameron promise the referendum in his 2015 manifesto, and immigration became inseparable from the Brexit campaign. And after the referendum, as we talked so many times, I mean, you know, Brexit divided families and communities, political parties for years. One of the reasons why Labour was so reticent to talk about Brexit at all in the run-up to the last election is because, and I've got some sympathy for this argument, even though I am like very much anti-Brexit, it just reopened those wounds again, you know. And Farage did that. Farage did that. You know, the argument stopped being about European institutions. It became all about ideas of patriotism and betrayal, national identity, traitors and nationalists, people who cared about the future of Britain and people who didn't. And then Farage has taken the immigration part and just run with it because, as predicted, Brexit ruined the nation, but also it created a lot of unforeseen problems, such as loads more people coming across in small boats. How many people came across in small boats in 2016? 0. No one. It's like the number of people who posted things that were transphobic online. 0. No one ever anywhere in the world did anyone post anything transphobic in 2016. And then, it all started kicking off, didn't it? People started coming across in small boats because they couldn't be taken back to France. Once word of that got around, people were like, okay, well, we'll go over in a small boat then. So they've clanging onto the back of a lorry. And Nigel Farage also saw that after COVID, we needed loads more people in the country just to keep the care system going. And Nigel Farage was there to say, "Oh, look! Boris Johnson let all these people into the Boris wave. The Boris wave of people coming into the country, and make it this terrible, terrible thing." And one thing that I will always pisses me off. The one thing that pisses me off about these bastards. Sorry, the Trump light people like Farage. They'll never. And one thing that pissed me off about Labour, to be honest with you, and the Lib Dems, the Greens are the only ones who I think are good at this, making a positive case for immigration. Trump's having a go at birthright citizenship again today. He's put some executive orders in to try and curtail birthright citizenship. And it's going to go to the Supreme Court, and it's 6-3 weighted in favour of the gobshites. So they'll probably get what they want eventually. But it's all the foreigners' fault. It's people coming from other countries, which is just mad, isn't it? When you think about the fact that a country is an invented thing, it is an invented thing that humans invented and just drew completely arbitrary boundaries and said that this area is run by this guy and this area is run by that guy. That's it. Sometimes countries didn't even draw their own borders. In fact, the majority of countries around the world did not have their borders drawn up by the people who live in that country or lived in that country when the borders were drawn. Look at the countries in Africa. None of those borders were drawn by the people of Africa. Not a single one. Not a single border that lies between the 54.5 countries of Africa were drawn up by Africans. They're all drawn up by Europeans, every single one. Even Ethiopia, famously the only country in the whole of Africa that was never colonized by European powers. Their external borders, because they touched Sudan, they touched Eritrea, they touched British Somaliland, Italian Somaliland, French Somaliland, etc. That their exterior borders were drawn up by the Western powers. We take this as the most important thing ever in all the world. Being born within these borders of any given country is just an absolute fucking fluke. It is a fluke. And it winds me up when people who have done well for themselves, usually because their mummy and daddy are rich, but let's say they're not. Let's say they actually come from humble beginnings. Let's say they grew up in a council house when we used to have council houses before Thatcher got rid of them. And they're a single parent family, and they had to walk 3.5 miles to school every day. And they left school at the age of 12 with no qualifications, but then worked on a market stall, and eventually they became a multi-millionaire, right? They've really done really, really well for themselves. And you hear these rags to riches stories. occasionally. I say occasionally because they're very rare. They're very few and far between. And this is why when they do happen, it's always celebrated, because the rich who run the media and own the social media platforms, created the social media platforms, that rich who get to decide what you see and what you're supposed to feel about the life that is going on around you at any one time, they want to spin the narrative that anyone can make it, because they don't want to feel bad about the fact that they're hogging all the spaces for the film directors and the writers and the actors and the CEOs and the politicians at the very top. They don't want to be seen as hogging those spaces. The 7% of rich kids, they don't want to be seen as hogging the spaces for the rest of us. So they hold up these people who have come from humble beginnings up on a platform, and it gives us a kind of like a distorted view of reality. But I'm going to say this, right? Had your Alan Sugars or whoever else been born in any other fucking country, right, they probably wouldn't have made it. I'm not saying, yeah, but within the country that they were born in, if Alan Sugar was born in, I don't know, Angola back in the 1950s, is he 50s? Yeah, something like that. Back in the 1950s, he was born in Portuguese Angola back in the 1950s. He wouldn't be a fucking millionaire today. He wouldn't be presenting a TV show watched by millions where they get privately educated twats to come on and fail miserably at doing menial tasks. They wouldn't have it, would they? Yeah. I have to say, besides I love you, Graham, I'm surprised there wasn't much ally support for trans people reference toilet terrorism. Yeah, Kimberly, I mean, it is really dispiriting, the lack of allyship, and especially in the LGBT community, well, LGB, I guess, community. There hasn't been the outrage that we would have expected. If they'd said, "Oh, lesbians can't use the bogs anymore because they might les up the other women in the bogs," because that's what lesbians do, eh? I'm pretty sure that these Pride, Stonewall institutions would be going fucking absolutely apeshit. But at the moment, I know James O'Brien did a phone in about it on Thursday, but on Wednesday. Yeah, apart from that, yeah, there hasn't been much. I mean, I see quite a lot because I'm signed up to particular content creators who will kick off about this kind of stuff, but in the mainstream, there's not been. Yeah, that interview, I wish I could have played it yesterday. The interview I wanted to play you with that woman, the chair of the Equalities and Human Rights Commission. She's just, it was like a parody. It was like Brass Eye. It was like genuinely like Brass Eye. But yeah, we do need to get more people talking about it. We do need to get more focus on it in general, and I think that will happen almost. I don't want to say naturally because that's the wrong word to use in this context. It's going to be horrible. There's going to be a case of a cisgender woman who doesn't look feminine enough for the liking of someone else using the bathroom facilities, Who wants to, I don't know, to go into the women's and be able to, I don't know, go to the sink and pull a moon cup out. I don't know, and pour it down the sink. I don't know. I had to wash it out. I don't know what women, these women, the ones who want this bathroom ban, that's what they think women do in toilets. I can only assume they haven't been in a public toilet for many years. And when you think about someone like, well, J.K. Rowling, has she been in the public toilet for many years? I don't think so. Why would she use a public toilet when she's so incredibly rich? She could literally have 4 heaving, muscular, sweaty men carrying a toilet for her, like a sedan chair on 2 poles, a golden toilet for her to do a shit in. Yeah. Ooh, Saz, thank you very much for the £2 super chat towards Bim Feffy. Yay! Well, I can't argue with that. 3, 2, 1, Bim Feffy. Woo! Yes! It's Bim Feffy. Don't be a Meffy. It's Bim Feffy. Thank you. Thank you so much, Saz. Thanks to everyone for chipping in there. It's really kind of you. I'll restart the clock on the Google. The default situation when the right wingers attack is that the group in question do not have a voice to protect them. Easy targets are the ones without that voice. Yeah. Was Rowling a private school mafia? No, she wasn't. But we often hear the story about how she worked in a cafe and wrote on a notepad to write Harry Potter, right? A couple of things we need to add context to that story. So she was a single mom and she's divorced and she's writing this she was writing this story. The cafe she was in was owned by her uncle, so she could just stay there all day. She was on the dole, so she didn't have to be working, looking for work. She could spend her time writing and getting this almost like universal basic income. And for a long time, J.K. Rowling would be quite a good voice when talking about the fact that the state had looked after her when she was in a time of need, and because of that, she managed to write the manuscript for the first Harry Potter book. And then off the back of that, she, made billions. But I do think that being rich is a mental health disorder because it makes people go crazy. I'm of the school of belief that J.K. Rowling wasn't always crazy. Just one day she woke up and just went, I know what I'll do today. I'm going to be horrible. I'm going to be absolutely horrible. And when it comes to, sticking, she had this dream, I have a dream. I'm going to be the most hated woman in the world. Well done. Anyway, well, yeah, I was talking about Brexit, about, political. Brexit proved that political division itself could be an incredibly successful product. Trump and Brexit, same year, 2016. And we're going to be clearing up the mess that Brexit, Farage, Boris Johnson, Trump, we're going to be clearing up the mess that these people have caused for years to come, for years and years and years. And the recent stuff out of Refuck, like about this, they want to have they're promising the largest deployment of military boats, vehicles, whatever, in the Channel since the Second World War. Royal Navy vessels or Royal Marines would intercept boats and attempt to return them, the migrants on these small boats, to France or Belgium. And you're just like, but France will just say no. France has already rejected the concept, and legal experts are like, that couldn't work because you can't force a country to take people if it doesn't want to take them. So your problem now, mate. You're the one driving that boat with those people in. You can't bring them here and just drop them off. There was a ship that I was on when I was bounding around the world on a shoestring, hitching rides on cargo ships. And they were telling me about how they once had a stowaway on board from Bangladesh. I think he was from Bangladesh. And he stayed on the boat for a year because they went to all these different ports, and the authorities in the port in all over the world wouldn't let this guy off the boat. So he stayed on the boat. Legally, there was nothing they could do about it. I think in the end, they had to make a special trip to the guy's home country so he could be taken back to his home country. But if you're from a landlocked nation, They can't legally take you off the boat. Can't legally throw you over the side. Can't not feed you, because if you die on the boat, you'll be responsible for that. So what do you do? The guy's gonna live on the boat. We should do that as a film. You know, like The Terminal. So it's a guy who, he's on a boat, and they can't get him off the boat, so he just lives on the boat. I don't know how interesting it would be. And he's from Uzbekistan, which is a double landlocked country. And in the end, they plan this route that they're going to take to get him back to his country, to Uzbekistan. And the way they're going to do it is they're going to take him through the Suez Canal to the Med, through the Dardanelles into the Black Sea, then into the Sea of Azov, and then from there they're going to go along the Don River and Canal into the Caspian Sea, and then they're planning to dig a trench from the Caspian Sea across Turkmenistan to the Sea of Aval, or what's left of the Sea of Aval. And then the last scene of the film is the ship with this refugee on board, just finally coming in to Uzbekistan. Into the Sea of Aval, which is just a salty, sandy wasteland now. This boat's just sort of a little bit on its side in the desert. The camera pulls back. It's just a dot in the middle of the desert with this refugee on board. I'm home. Someone's got to write a book about that, I'm sure. Someone probably already has. Britain saved de Gaulle and France's arse in the war, says Penny. Britain helped with a lot of countries, but it wasn't just Britain. It was Britain and Jamaica, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, St. Lucia, Nigeria, Ghana, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Burma, Singapore, Malaysia. I think there were troops from the Middle East, from Egypt, from Sudan. We had Sudanese troops, Kenyan troops. We had troops from Tanzania, South Africa, obviously. It wasn't just Britain, you know. There's a thing called the Commonwealth. If you look it up and educate yourself, you might find out that there were soldiers from literally all over the world, which is why it was called the World War. It's why the First World War was called the First War, even though it was just all fought in France, wasn't it? Maybe a little bit of Belgium, but mostly France. How was it a world war? Well, because all the countries in the world were drawn into it, and not just the countries that were part of the British Commonwealth, but you had countries that were part of the French Empire. So it was a British Empire at the time. Countries that were part of the German Empire, like Upper Volta and the North Papua New Guinea, Nauru. what became Southwest Africa, German South Africa, became Southwest Africa. Then it became Namibia. Countries were involved. So the nice notion that Britain alone stood alone, it kind of glosses over a few pertinent facts. We were supported by dozens of other countries around the world, not just our allies, but members of the French Empire, etc. But we were also helped out by the Yanks, who gave us a fuck ton of food, without which we would have starved. Because then, like now, we couldn't make enough food to feed ourselves. We needed food to come in. So yeah, as well as South Africa, and it was then known Rhodesia, North Rhodesia, which became Zambia, South Rhodesia, which became Zimbabwe. Also Bechuanaland, which became Botswana. Nyasaland, that became Malawi. Basotho, which became Lesotho for some reason. Was it called Basotho for a bit, or Sesotho? I can't remember. There's Bisotho, Sesotho, and Lesotho. And one is the language, one is the people, and the other is the country. It's kind of cool. We came for Graham, stay for Kimberly's stories. Britain also sank a large proportion of the French Navy. Well, it was to stop the Nazis from using them. It was. World War I also included Britain conquering the Ottoman Empire, leading to today's French-British division of the Middle East. Oh, that's true. I mean, Britain, can we really take credit for that? Can we take credit? Because Lawrence of Arabia, T.E. Lawrence was British, but it was really the Arab tribes who, you know, who fought back against the Ottomans. Obviously, there was fighting in Turkey, famously in Gallipoli. That wasn't the British, though, was it? That was the Australians and the New Zealanders, the Anzacs. I suppose Winston Churchill was there, wasn't he, watching from afar, going, "Oof, not great, not great." Mez Cabia, the French were offered different options. They chose badly. Yeah, but the thing is, the people who say things like, "If it wasn't for us, you'd always speak in German right now, and if it wasn't for us, the French would have been," and like Nigel Farage, if he had been a politician in World War II in France, where he belongs, because he's a French Huguenot, so bugger off back where you came from, Farage. But you just know, right, that if he was a politician and the Nazis invaded, he would be the Vichy French, wouldn't he? He would join the Vichy regime. There's no way he would join the resistance. Absolutely no way would he don khaki and pick up a rifle, as he said he would do if he was not allowed to bank in the same bank as the king, or whatever it was that he was upset about from one day to the next. Nigel Farage, who famously drove the pilot who saved his life, drove him to unalivement. That happened. Did anyone talk about that? No. There you go, Nigel. There's a little uncomfortable truth that no one wants to talk about. Why don't we talk about the pilot that you ruined the life of? Can we talk about that? All he did was save your life. I mean, I could see why you wouldn't want him to continue living. Anyway, but yeah, so France has already said, fuck off. Like, as far as taking people, that are coming across. We did have a deal with France. 10 years ago, they couldn't say fuck off. Because we'll say these people, we've checked them and they need to go back to France. So no one bothered coming across on a small boat because they'd just be get taken straight back. Britain withdraws from the Dublin Agreement that we had with the rest of the EU because we withdrew from the EU because the rich people told us to retreat from the EU, because if we retreat from the EU, then we'll have more freedoms. No, we won't. The rich will have more freedoms to pay less tax. That's it. That's the reason they did it. There is no benefit for you or me that we can possibly have, except bullshit that's just made up by lying liars, privately educated lying liars like Leila Cunningham and Nigel Farage and Richard Tice and Andy Wigmore and Daniel Hannan, remember him? Just where they say, oh, if it wasn't Boris Johnson and Michael Gove and Jacob Rees-Mogg and Dominic Cummings and Danny Kruger and Suella Braverman and Robert Jenrick, all of whom went to private school. Every single one of those names that I just rattled off went to private school. They were all born rich. Okay, all of them. And when you ask them, what benefit do we get from Brexit? They lie. They always have to lie. They can never tell the truth, which is there's been no benefits at all except to rich people. Because that one sounds good. So what they do is they lie, because this is what they do. They're lying liars. They're taught to lie in their posh private schools, and they never stop lying their whole life. And they'll say, we developed a vaccine against COVID that we wouldn't have been able to do if, we were part of the EU. Hang on. Can we just watch that again? Can we just do an action replay? What year was COVID? What year was the COVID? 2020. And when did the vaccine come out? What was it? December 2020. Okay. And when was Britain actually out of the rules that bound the EU? 2021. Okay. So yeah. So we were still bound by the rules of the EU. So, for instance, we couldn't do any new trade deals in 2020, even though they'd taken down the Union Jack from the, outside the European Parliament. That had been done, but we were still beholden to the rules of the European Union, so we couldn't go out and do these amazing new trade deals with countries like Sao Tome and Principe and Comoros and St. Kitts and Nevis. God, if only we could get a really good trade deal with St. Kitts and Nevis, then all our problems would be over. But we couldn't do that because we were still under the rules of the EU in 2020. Until the end of the year that we actually left. properly. The vaccine was developed in that year. How does that work? And then there's the other side of this, which is, oh, we got the vaccine. Okay, you got the vaccine. Let's pretend that you're not lying. Let's pretend that that's actually true, which is not. Made that very clear. It's not true. It's just bullshit. We could have done it anyway. We could have done it whether we were a full member of the EU and we had never left, or whether we had, because we were still under the rules of the EU. Made no difference whatsoever. You get a lot of sovereignty as a member of the EU. But yeah. But then they'll say, we never really left the EU. I say, well, then we get that vaccine then. The problem with these lying liars is they can't get their lies straight. They can't even lie straight in bed. Meanwhile, Farage is, talking about banning foreign nationals from social housing, potentially removing people unable to secure private accommodation. Talked about getting rid of people that they don't like, what they call renationalization, is it? Repatriation or something. In a speech, he claimed that anti-whiteness is institutionalized. Anti-whiteness? Okay. Have you ever been on holiday to another country and then trying to get back into this country, after living here for 60 years, get back to this country, coming here as a child and living here for 60 years and working, contributing to society, paying your rent, paying your mortgage, paying your taxes. Have you ever been told you can't go home? Have you? White people watching this, have you ever been told that? You can't go home. Well, why? Well, because you came here as a child and to the UK as a child, and so now you're gonna have to live in that country that you just went on holiday where you don't know anyone. But all my stuff's in the UK. My house is in the UK. All my things are in the UK. My cat is in the UK. I need to feed my cat. No, can't feed your cat anymore. Cat's gonna have to die. Actually, the cat will probably be all right unless it's trapped in the house. We'll get out. Or it can fend for itself. Cats can fend for the dogs. Sorry, mate, your dog's going to have to die. Does that happen to white people a lot? Does it? Do white people get that thing where, they write a white name like John Smith into their CV? Are they demonstrably less likely to get a job interview, even with someone with the same CV, same qualifications, same experience, but who has a black sounding name, has a South Asian sounding name? Does that happen? Does that happen? Anti-whiteness. You have to explain to people you can't be racist towards white people. It's a bit of a statement to make that, I know, but take it from me, someone who has actually got off their fat arse and bothered to go and see the world. Okay, it's one thing that I can say, pull rank on. I've bothered to go see the world. And was I thrown in jail in Cape Verde? Yeah. 6 days I spent in jail in Cape Verde. Was I put in jail in Congo? Yeah, I was put in jail in Congo. Yeah. What for? Don't know. Fucking fuck all. Because it's a misunderstanding in Cape Verde, and then Congo, they just didn't like the look of me. Could I claim that's racism? No, not really. No, I can't. You see, because for racism to be racism, that has to be. It can't just be prejudice. It can't just be like, I don't like that person's haircut. I don't like that person's teeth. I don't like that person's. It's got to be institutional. It's got to be systemic. It's got to be societal. It's not just one person's prejudice. And if there was a news story about Congo locking up thousands of white people, then you could just about squint and say, okay, yeah, that's racism. That is that they're singling out people because of the color of their skin and they're putting them in jail, but they're not. I mean, I could maybe say I was discriminated against, perhaps, but I can't say that Congo is a racist state because me as a white person was put in jail. or holding cell for 6 days. And yeah, this idea that white people have it so bad is not just not true, obviously, but it's insulting. It's absolutely insulting to not just ethnic minorities, but to white people themselves. You know, ourselves, I guess, I'm part of that group, I suppose, thrown into it unwillingly. But there I am, you know, with some Noel Gallagher looking motherfucker. Apparently we're the same race, even though he's got these massive black eyebrows and he looks like the Hood from the fucking Thunderbirds. I don't look anything like him. I don't think. I don't know. But yeah, this idea that you can be anti-white, I just think it's absolute bloody nonsense. I mean, yeah, I suppose you can be anti-white, but this country, you're kidding me, aren't you? And so what they do is they scramble to try and make it so that that they can prove their point by saying, well, white kids in disadvantaged neighborhoods are doing are doing worse, and there are societal reasons for that. It's not racism. It's not that the schools are going, oh, we're going to treat these white kids worse. It's not like that at all. But I think there's a lot of people growing up in an ethnic minority household who are acutely aware that they will be discriminated against, and so they have to, buckle down and work a lot harder than the white kids in the same community. They just do. And a lot of the time, if a white kid gets into mischief or into trouble, then they are not seen as representing absolutely everyone of their race. Whereas if a black kid does it, if an Asian kid does it, if a fucking trans person does it, oh, that represents all trans people. That represents all Pakistanis, all people from Africa, all people from the West Indies, all of them, every single one. Imagined oppression, says Diz. Yeah, that's what it is. Simon says there was supposed to be an uprising in southern France to support the US-French invasion in southern France, but no one told the commies that the rising was cancelled, massacred by the Germans. Oh, that's awful, isn't it? Anti-whiteness has come about because just because if people say they're able to swallow all the other bullshit, they'll swallow this bullshit. It even sounds stupid to say. Yeah. Yes. Right, gotta go. Parcel stopped 3 days away and canoeing this afternoon, says Martin. Oh, sounds exciting. So yeah, anti-whiteness institutionalized. Meanwhile, reform of proposed measures, basically stripping the rights of white people in Britain who weren't born in Britain, who were born in the EU. It's almost as though white people are being discriminated against in some way by your party, Nigel Farage. Sorry, we're coming to take your house. And this is where, the debate has ended up with Rupert Lowe going on the radio and arguing about whether King Charles qualifies as a white Briton because Prince Philip was born in Corfu. His dad was born in Corfu. And talking about Britain heading toward becoming an Islamic country. I love this. If we're becoming an Islamic country, how are we becoming an Islamic country? Is it because all our food is now halal? Is it because we have Sharia law everywhere Sharia law, under the floorboards, behind the couch, up in the rafters of every house, Sharia law, it's everywhere. We have the call to prayer, 5 o'clock in the morning, wake everyone up, call to prayer, get up, come on, pray. Oh no, that's Dubai, isn't it? Where do all these billionaires like to go? All these millionaires like to go? Where's Richard Tice live? With Isabel Oak shit. Oh yeah, Dubai. Because they're sick of how Britain is becoming an Islamic country. They went to live in an Islamic country. Cool and normal. And this is the political ecosystem that Farage has helped normalize. This Britain reduced to endless arguments about who belongs and who doesn't. Isn't that sad? That we're here? we're here. We used to be over there. And the irony of it all, you know, Farage presents himself as fighting the elite establishment. Meanwhile, he's bankrolled by billionaire Christopher Harborne, convicted fraudster George Cottrell, gets millions of pounds of gifts of transfers, 23 million pounds given to the refuckers so far, given from fossil fuel companies. 2/3 of their money. You know, we keep talking about Harborne and Cottrell. That's about 1/3 of their money. 2/3 of their money comes from fossil fuels. Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it? Where else does it come from? Millions of pounds they've been given in gifts and transfers, offshore wealth. All of them have offshore wealth. Major political donations from the likes of the oil lobby. The political standards investigations into Refuck, into Tice, into Farage, and the police investigations. The National Crime Agency looking into them. You know, they're fighting the elite. No, they're not. No, not. They are the elites. SG, hey SG, good to have you back. I haven't seen SG for a little while. Back from Hollybobs. Good to see you wonderful peeps again. Hope you've all been well. Missed your rants, Graham. Oh, thanks SG. If you want to see a magnificent rant, get onto the Tuesday show on the 5th, when I went off on one about the stupid trans guidance, which is just mind-blowingly insultingly stupid. So yeah, you know, I honestly believe that you have to go back to Cromwell to find an individual who has successfully made division such a defining feature of English political life. And it is no coincidence that the SNP have stayed in power far longer than they really should have, you know, in terms of not that I'm going to go with the SNP. It's just unusual for one political party to be in charge of a parliament for that long, and they have. They've been in charge for actually absolutely ages, since 1999 in Scotland. But also the growth of Plaid Cymru in Wales, I attribute to Farage, because Farage has divided England so well. You got other countries looking at England going, don't fancy that. And yeah, I mean, Farage obviously hasn't caused anything remotely resembling the English Civil War yet. But if you just look at political division, Europe versus Britain, Leave versus Remain, immigrant versus native, and then we have these definitions of who's a native and who's not. Apparently the King of England, born in England, went to English private school, went to Eton. No, he didn't. He went to Gordon, didn't he? You know, he's not really British. Metropolitan elite. You're right, Dad. Metropolitan elite versus ordinary people. Establishment versus the people. Court versus democracy. Experts versus common sense. Multilateral Britain and an imagined multicultural Britain, and this imagined lost Britain of the past, you know, drowning in toxic nostalgia, because pain has no memory. Pain has no memory. Discomfort has no memory. We don't remember how uncomfortable we were 74 years ago. We don't. Nobody does. But yeah, the damage is going to outlive Farage. The damage he's done to this country already, even if he left politics tomorrow, and I'd love him to do that, he has already forced the Conservatives dramatically rightward on Europe, immigration, climate change, tackling climate change, human rights. He wants to solve. He's got the Tory party to say they're going to leave the European. You're right. Let us go and deal with me, Dad. He's trying to cough. You're right. Yeah, I think he's okay. Sorry. Trying to do a live stream and be a nursemaid at the same time is difficult. But yeah, what was I talking about? The refuck and immigration, and you know they have. Farage has salted this land. That's what he's done. He has salted this land, and got the Tories to say they're going to leave the European Convention on Human Rights. Labour have to spend enormous political energy responding to refuck, when they should be getting on with running the place. And in any other normal political circumstances, after the Tories' absolute beating in the 2024 election, Labour should have just been coasting for the next 10 years. They should have done. That's the normal way of things with politics. But politics is no longer normal. It's because of Nigel Farage. You know, he's the guy who put Brexit onto the national agenda. He's the guy who made immigration central to almost every election, even like local elections. You had local elections going on in fucking Wigan, and people going, "Oh, we're gonna stop the boat people." What are they washing up on Wigan Pier? What, you know? And yeah, he's forced the mainstream parties to compete on territory that he helped define. You know, it's not just the fact that he's created these arguments; he's got everyone else to argue on his terms, and now it looks like he's losing control of it. Reform itself has competitors to the right, like Restore, who think that the King of England isn't British enough for their liking. Send him back, they say. Restore Britain is attacking Reform for supposedly being too moderate. Kemi Badnoch is calling Reform woke. Could you believe it? Farage has created a political market for grievance, and now people who are selling stronger grievances are riding off his coattails, and that's how the ratchet effect works. You know, and I like to, you know, put pollution in our rivers, just to take it back to the thing we were talking about at the top of the show, because I want to link the toxic rivers that we have with the toxic political culture that we have because of Nigel Farage. And I really wish that the white balance would stop fannying about. I'm gonna just, sorry, I know that looks really shit. Sorry, I'm just gonna change the white balance myself because it just keeps changing and it's annoying me. Sorry, I don't want to be too blue, and I don't want to. What you got to do is you got to hold up like something that's white and then make it look white on here. Do you know what? If I do an auto on that, there you go. That's what I want. Oh, it doesn't save what you told it to say. Sorry. If anyone was watching that going, why is he holding up his pad? It's the thing that you're supposed to do to get the white balance right, so the colour of the picture doesn't keep changing as you're talking. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, I want to tie this in, right? Because pollution doesn't necessarily arrive in one catastrophic event. It accumulates over time. You know, it's a bit of CO2, bit of mercury, a little bit of PFAS, you know, bit of shit. But it builds up, doesn't it? It accumulates. And political toxicity works in pretty much exactly the same way. A lie here, a scapegoat there, a conspiracy theory or two, a word about a conspiracy theory enemy of the people, an establishment stitch up, you know, a group that doesn't belong. And yeah, we're eventually left to look around and wonder, you know, how did everything in our lives become so toxic to the point where going to the toilet has become politicized? How the fuck did we get here? And why aren't we doing more to stop it? You know, why aren't we doing more to nip it in the bud? And the reason is, it's not because we're lazy. It's not because we don't want to do something. It's not because we've got better things to do. It's just because of agency. The rich have so much agency in this country. The rich just have it all. And they get bored. And they get toxic. And they take out their midlife crises or whatever it is on the rest of us. And we're the ones who have to pay the price and pick up the pieces. Yeah. That sounds like footage obsessed by white balance. Recently watched a program on the rise of Hitler and the Nazi Party. Every step of his popularity increased mirrored Farage's hatred of minorities in the UK. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Kemi Badenoch is so condescending that she does not realise when she is wrong, because in her mind she's always right. Do you remember when she was doing that interview? She said, when I was in school, there were some children doing terrible things and I ratted on them, and I didn't get any thanks for it. Yeah. Farage is just another Oswald Mosley. Yeah, he is. Neo-aristocrat, born into a wealthy family, went to a private school, rabble-rouser, gets working class people on side by lying to them, and making them fear things that they shouldn't be fearing. They should be fearing people with Coots bank accounts. That includes Nigel Farage, because he kicked up such a stink about it. Anyway, should we crack on? Should we crack on quickly to the other stories of the day? Primary schools are now looking to flag children at risk of future unemployment. Alan Milburn's review into youth worklessness wants interventions to start in primary school. Schools could use attendance, school readiness, and other indicators to identify children at risk of becoming NEET later, not in education, employment, or training. More than 1 million 16 to 24-year-olds are currently not in education, employment, or training. Proposals include tutoring, mentoring, and changing how pupil premium money can be used. And the final review will be expected later this year. And yeah, okay, cool. Get in there early. Make sure that these kids are looked after, and they increase their chances of getting somewhere in life. Meanwhile, the extreme right prevents the anti-terrorist scheme. Referrals from the extreme about the extreme right have gone up 42%. Can I tie this into Farage? They've received 10,293 referrals in the latest reporting period, and extreme right concerns accounted for over 2,000 of those, and that's up 42%. Islamist referrals fell slightly to 860. So of the these people who they're keeping an eye on because they might tend to terrorism, 10,000 referrals, over 2,000 extreme right, 860 Islamist. More than half of all referrals have no identifiable ideology. A large proportion involve children and teenagers, which is understandable because that's when your brain is still developing and children are being dragged into cults, into extreme religions and extreme content, extreme manosphere bullshit online, and it affects their brain chemistry. Hatred is a hell of a drug, as we discover. And counter-terrorist police have already warned Prevent is becoming overwhelmed by people fascinated with violence but lacking a clear ideological ideology. But yeah, the way that these numbers have gone up on the extreme right, I lay the blame for that solely at the door of Nigel Farage, because of the country that he's helped create. I'm going to just have to go and help out my dad. Just one sec. One sec. Hi, sorry about that. To go and help me dad out, I just had to raise the back of the bed a bit. He was having trouble coughing. Um, okay, so sorry about that. Where was I? Farage is a fake. He doesn't hate foreigners. First mother is kids Irish. Second mother kids German. Current girlfriend French. Farage loves a foreigner, especially if they give him cash. Yeah, absolutely. Well, is it under reforms? Sorry, yeah, not reform. The restores new policy that Farage's kids won't be regarded as white anymore. That's quite funny. Strange English lyricist. Oops. In most areas, deform only one. Council seats by a few hundred votes. There aren't that many full-voted ones. The electorate is unmoved, unmotivated. Deformed voters are mostly old or unemployed. Yeah. And Warren P says it would suggest the rise of political extremism is directly linked to how well the economy is doing. Extremists flourish when the economy isn't doing well. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Their low levels of employment means they have F all else to do other than drink, snort, rant about Khalid. The brain surgeon stole their jobs and vote. Yeah. Yeah. Strange English lyricist, you're right. So, meanwhile, great news for anyone who's looking forward to the end of the world. AI has designed working viruses. So researchers have created the first functioning viruses designed using AI. These are viruses that infect bacteria, not humans. Okay. And the potential upside of this is new treatments against antibiotic-resistant bacteria. The obvious downside, though, is biosecurity concerns. Let's make our own dangerous pathogens. I hope no one misuses these dangerous pathogens. Yeah. Other not particularly great news. Ukraine is running out of is running short of missile interceptors. They're only receiving about 1/3 as many as they were last year. Patriot missiles are particularly important for stopping Russian ballistic attacks, and Ukraine says that Russian ballistic and Zircon missile attacks have gone unintercepted, and Ukraine estimates that Russia could eventually fire around 100 ballistic missiles a month. And the Middle East demand is contributing to pressure on global interceptor stocks. So Trump going into Iran, his forever war in Iran, he'll be talking about it depleting stocks of missiles for the Americans, but it's also having problems down the line because Ukraine needs to defend itself. Meanwhile, in DR Congo, they've now recorded over 4,000 confirmed infections of Ebola. It's now the second largest Ebola outbreak ever recorded. And of the confirmed infections, 1,850 have died. People have died. So it's pretty fucking deadly. Compare that with COVID, which killed a fraction of 1% of the population of the UK. Imagine something that kills nearly 50% of the people who get it. Yeah. Not great. Not great. And authorities believe the true number of infections is probably a lot higher. They just don't know. Joe would really help not having a US aid being taken away. Meanwhile, there was a school shooting in Thailand, and a 14-year-old boy killed his grandparents before attacking a school near Bangkok. 8 people died, including the gunman. 6 people were killed at the school and 15 injured. And Thailand has around 10.3 million civilian-owned firearms, roughly 15 for every 100 people. Are they going to tighten their gun control laws? Well, I fucking hope so. But we'll see. We'll see. And yeah, there's what's this said? Trump's Golden Dome plan. Remember that? His golden dome's his hair. Fascist ideology is a financial solution for an overheated economy. Deformed voters will not realise until it's too late. They are the economic surplus destined to be eliminated. Yep. Gallifreyan Van. Remember when I took joy in my cooking and writing? Notice how I don't do that. It's not reflux that's taking the joy from me. It's Burnham's labour. Oh, I'm sorry, Gallifreyan Van. What can we do? What can we do to get the cooking and the writing? I mean, I've got to say this because I said this to like Ivan and people who are not doing well. The reason why I always have the number for the Samaritans at the end of the show, at the in the blurb of these shows, is because I know that it's a lot. I know that it's like having to deal with this stuff, especially if you're at the coal face, which trans people are. Um, I know how, I know it's difficult. I know it's difficult. And my suggestion would be, like with Ivan, is please stop watching these videos for a bit and concentrate on your happiness and your mental health, because your health has to come first before, you know, me ranting, going off on one about Farage or whatever else I'm doing from one day to the next. This is very much secondary to your mental health, and if I'd hate the idea that the this disgusting guidance has taken away the pleasure of cooking and the pleasure of writing from you, and I'd hope you'd be able to get that back. So if you have to make a choice, and the choice is whether to continue watching political stuff and getting upset about what's going on in the media, in the discussions that are going on, or the discussions that are not going on a lot of the time, please take a chance to switch off, get away from the internet, and do things that you do enjoy. And I know it might not be as simple as that. I know things are much more complicated, and everyone's different. So all I can say is what I would do in a similar situation is I'll just try and have a bit of a, you know, we're talking about toxicity today. God damn, there's a lot of toxicity out there. Is try and have some kind of digital detox, try and get away from it. Like you know, my friends who get very, 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 very upset about the national debt, and I see how much it upsets them, and you know, I compare that in my head to people who are trans having to put up with this trans guidance, which is abominable, and I'm like, why are you getting so upset about like the national debt, or, you know, a war on the other side of the planet, when there's people in this country who are having their lives torn apart by this guidance, by, you know, this is everyday life for people. Our toilets to be policed to make sure that the right people go for a piss in the right in the right cubicle, you know, in the right bog. Because you know the bogs that they have in the men's toilets, right? You know, those porcelain toilets that you sit down on, your Armitage Shank shit, right? Yeah, they're very different in the women's. They're a completely different toilet. It's a completely different experience. They get those Japanese ones that squirt water up your ass, and you know, they talk to you. They have like a little singy-songy child's voice, which is a weird thing they like to do in Japan when you've got an automated machine. It sings to you in a child's voice. I'm like, why would you want your toilet to sing in a child? Very strange thing. But anyway, so yeah, so the fancy toilets in the ladies, you know, you've got to protect them. You've got to protect them from potential people who might come and use them. Anyway, yeah. So I'm sorry, man. That's really, really shit. And like I say, if you need to take a break from the channel and just, you know, take a break from social media in general and just do the things that bring you happiness, I really, really strenuously suggest that you do that. Much as I hate to lose another viewer on this channel, we're gonna have no one left very soon. But never mind. My mum will still be watching, won't you, mum? Yeah, good. It's got one fan. But yeah. So we're going to go over to the papers now, if that's okay. We're only going to go till 11 o'clock today. We're going to have a hard finish at 11. So we've got about 9 minutes left. If we want to get another confetti in, that's up to you. But if not, no worries. We already had one for today, I guess. Well, in the meantime, we're going to head over to the papers. On the right there, we've got the Times. which will always remind me of the Wombles song. Because Uncle Bulgaria was never behind the time. We've got Tom Dyer, the $1 billion couple. That's Tom Holland and Zendaya, who've got married in a secret wedding in Buckinghamshire or somewhere, I don't know. Mortgage versus rent, which is cheaper? Mortgage. Because you get a house at the end of it. You're the best in the world, boss told professor in plagiarism row. Cool. There's a picture of Elizabeth Jane Ross, who was the Edinburgh charity worker who was murdered in Athens. She was described as a kind and selfless person who dedicated their life to helping people. It really is an absolute tragedy that she was murdered. And I hope they throw the absolute book at the guy who did it, you know. If it's the guy they've got now, you know, get him and throw him away forever. I don't give a fuck. I get quite law and orderly when it comes to stuff like this. Fraud alert over loans to foreign students. Fifth are now taken by non-UK citizens. British taxpayer on hook for unpaid billions. Then we got number 10 aides show Blokey Burnham the red card. Burnham has been told by one to tone down his blokish videos by number 10 social media experts. Team Burnham are receiving daily reports from the unit, which includes experts in data and social media analytics. Last week, they advised the Prime Minister to limit the number of references to football and the pub in an attempt to reach a broad audience. The team, which was created under Sir Keir Starmer's premiership, monitors Burnham's personal accounts, including the sentiment of replies. Sorry, just 1 second. Did I read that right? A team of social media experts created by Starmer. I mean, I can't tell you how shit the social media under Starmer was. We talked about it all the freaking time. There was barely a day on Morning Brew or The Agenda or the Friday Night Social or even Geoscope where we wouldn't mention how bad Labour's social media game was. I went down to London twice to speak to them and say, listen, there's some things you could be doing better, you know. And they were like, no, we're going to get an agency in to do it. We know better, blah, 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 blah. And here we have the story about Andy Burnham's social media, which has been freaking amazing. Over 50% of the population have seen an Andy Burnham video in the last couple of weeks. 50% of the population. The nearest to him in terms of reach is Nigel Farage at 16%. And then all of the politicians is less than 10%. He's absolutely blowing it out the water, and they're like, oh, you're doing it wrong. I mean, we're shit. We don't know how to do it, but you're doing it wrong. Yeah. Yeah, we've looked at the replies. It's too blokey. People don't like the blokiness of the blokiness. Yeah, that's why no one watched Top Gear, mate. That's why no one watched fucking Top Gear. It's why Top Gear is not the most, like, what was it? The most lucrative show in the history of the BBC, because they sold it in every single territory around the world. Women watch Top Gear. You know, I think it's a bit sexist to go, oh, you know, you talk about football in the pub. Oh, it's a bit blokey, isn't it? You know, women, they play football and they go to a fucking pub. What the I can't believe this story. The team, which was created under Sir Keir Starmer's premiership, monitors Burnham's personal accounts, including a sentiment of his replies. A video of Burnham and John Healey, the Chancellor, rating bar snacks to highlight a business rate cuts for hospitality venues was viewed more than 5 million times on X. Okay. What's the problem? What's... I don't know what I'm doing, but you're doing it wrong. All right. Hope they all get fired. Okay, so moving on up. Now, we have got the left's corruption of excellence. What the fuck is that about? The left's corruption of fuck off. Oh, sorry. That wasn't meant to happen. We must defend our right to drink standing up. Sorry, what? What was that? We must. Is that a joke? What is this? Are we in brass eye territory? Have I just fallen through a portal and everything is brass eye now? It's like when in being John Malkovich, where he goes into himself and everyone's Malkovich. They're all in a restaurant, and it's all everyone's Malkovich, and all the only word they say is Malkovich. It's a bit like that, but brass eye. We're falling into the brass eye vortex. How did this happen? I don't know. Anyway, we've got Tom Holland and Zendaya there, looking fabulous as always. Notice she's a bit taller than him. She's a bit taller than him, is Zendaya. So people point that out. They like to point out she's a bit. So yeah, this thing about oh yeah, you know what? In order to get women, you got to be tall, and you've got to be anti-woke, and you've got to put women in there. But he's got Tom Holland there. He's got one of the best looking women in the world to marry him, and he's not tall. She's taller than him, and he's woke as fuck. Tories to end social housing for foreigners. More than 230,000 face eviction under Badenoch's plan to end cash machine UK. Oh, God, I just hate her so much. Restore's co-founder suggested that Farage has been bought by Jews. Nigel Farage was bought by Jewish supporters. Charlie Downs said that. Charlie Downs, Restore Britain. Let's have a look at Charlie Downs. Who's this gobshite? Who is he? He's a English political activist, writer, and broadcaster. He was born in 2001, so he's only 25 years old. He was in Refuck for 1 year, and then he joined Restore last year. He was brought up in Kent. He went to Royal Holloway. Okay. Did Charlie Downs go to private school? Question mark. Royal Holloway. No, that's not the answer I wanted. Royal Holloway's not a school; it's a university. There you go. According to his own writing on early life and background, he went to a state-funded Church of England primary school in Kent, and then he's just kind of skipped out what secondary school he went to. Well, that's interesting. Anyway, so yeah, basically, anti-Semitism and racism, and the fact that King Charles isn't actually British. Fear of Burnham tax rise prompts £1.6 billion stock market sell-off. Yeah, that's what prompted it. Yeah, sure, whatever. And then Tories push to stop release of police killers. Andrew Stalker in Balaclava ran at me. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has claimed that an alleged stalker wearing a balaclava splintered at him. So there you go. We've got PM's economic advisor links to China. Drastic Dave to pour £750 million into Guinness. The new boss of Diageo is going to invest £750 million in Guinness, even though it tastes of burnt toast. Next up, we got the Mail. The Cambridge plagiarism scandal exposes in chilling detail how many of our institutions have now been captured by woke dogma. It's funny because no one who reads the Daily Mail went to Cambridge. Absolutely nobody. Not a single reader of the Daily Mail went to Cambridge, because people who went to Cambridge have got, some kind of intelligence, and also, I don't know, some kind of feeling that they might want to be seen as not a dickhead. And then we've got foreign nationals face social housing ban on the Tories, doing the Tories publicity for them. And then we've got Zendaya and Tom's secret £500,000 wedding in Surrey. Well, that's nice. That's nice for them. I'm glad someone's having a nice end of the world. Okay, so goofball. Sorry, got a bail. Sorry, I read that as goofball. Sorry. I thought you were calling me. The papers are the final straw for my mental state. I'm sorry, Gallifreyan, man. Like I say, honestly, seriously, go do something better than sit here and go, what the fuck is in the papers? Because it's just going to drive you up the wall. I don't know why I do it. It's just, this is my group therapy. It's just to go through it with other people who feel the same way I do. Like, this is bullshit. This is crazy. Why are we allowing this? Why are we allowing this to happen? But yeah, this doesn't go just for Ren or Ivan or someone. Just for everyone watching this. You know, if it's all getting a bit too much, and it's keeping you up at night, and you can't sleep, and all that, give yourself a break. You know, give yourself a break. You don't have to be on all the time. Okay, and I think it's really, really unfair that the fighting for trans rights has been given to just the trans community to do with startlingly few allies standing up and actually doing something to help, especially within the the rest of the queer community, which is, I think, is heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. But there is a little bit of light, coming through the crack that exists in everything. And this is it. I mean, trans people have always existed, and they always will exist. That's it. There's always been trans. There always will be trans. And the bigots bloody hate that. And one of the reasons why I like trans people so much is because they really do upset the bigots, don't they? They really do upset the bigots. I just wish the bigots weren't in fucking charge. Why don't you do something less boring instead? Years ago, so I did. Couldn't stand the show. What? Why don't you? Why don't you tell me to do something less boring instead? Switch off the TV set and do something less boring instead. They sang at the beginning of their TV show. So if you actually did what they were told at the beginning of their song, you would at the beginning of the show, you wouldn't actually watch the show, and you wouldn't know what more interesting things you could do with your time. Why don't you? It was Weird Waste of Electric, but back in the day there was Bugger All Else on. Why Don't You was great. Do you remember when they had that wasn't it a bunch of kids living in a house together at one point, and one of them had a vat downstairs. He had like the vat. And he was like staring at this big pot. Anyway, so yeah, back to the papers. Zendaya and Tommy and Zendaya. Right, next up we've got I'll sue ITV over loose women. Other stars had an easier ride. I don't know what that's about. And then we've got Andrew, my stalker ordeal. Court hears evidence from disgraced ex-royal, and this is the stalker. Oh my god! What the? Okay, he's not all there, is he? And then we're gonna go to Daily Express here. We are failing sex gangs victims once again. Labour have been accused of gross negligence in a loophole. That means blah blah blah. It's gonna go on all summer, isn't it? Next up, we've got Kelly's boobs, which are very important, so you need to know what they look like. And then bottoms down, no standing up in pubs. Suggs and pals enjoy a vertical drink after Westminster City Council denied touting a new no standing plan. So apparently, right, they were going to bring in this thing that said you ain't allowed to stand in a pub. And then they said immediately, no, that's not what we mean. It was about people, I think, standing outside the pub and drinking on the street, away from the pub or something. I don't know. Anyway, they just said we didn't say that, and so it's a bit of a non-story, really. But whatever. Everyone got involved. Even the mayor of London got involved. Said, "No, I don't want that." And they went, "Okay, we're not doing it. It's fine." Reform UK's income surges by £21 million in 1 year. Farage's party earnings outstrip Tories. Figures reveal, with further donations set to boost next year's accounts, which is coming from fossil fuel companies and crypto bastards. I secretly work 2 jobs. I'm a man at extremes. I've lived at both ends, says Kasabian, frontman. Every river and lake in England polluted with toxic chemicals. All rivers, lakes, reservoirs, and canals in England polluted with forever chemicals, microplastics, ammonia, and phosphates, according to a landmark report that I was reporting on this morning. Then we've got the Womack sisters there. We've got Cambridge unleashed grotesque racism with our day appointment. The University of Cambridge's leaders have been deserve blame for the grotesque racism unleashed by Jason Arday's appointment as a professor, according to academics calling for the university to hold an independent inquiry into the affair. Then we've got Milburn, spot pupils at joblessness, which I mentioned about children being in primary school being ID'd as being possibly at risk of joblessness and being given extra support. Toxic pollution in every body of water in England. Politicians accused of conspiracy of silence and inaction. Absolutely. Then we've got the FT here. Is the EU serious? You can't EU be serious. Are EU serious about taking new members? We've also got Google sharpens focus with Hazibi's move. I don't know what that means. Then we've got Flying School. Colombian narco fighters seek drone warfare lessons on Ukraine battlefront. We've got EasyJet accepts £5.7 billion Apollo offer in latest foreign swoop. So the latest British company to go to become foreign as the EasyJet. It'll be slightly more difficult jet now, I suppose. We've got Diageo to slash costs by 1 million. We've got Fed boss Warsh Defiance. We've got Iran in deal. Oh, hang on. Federal boss Warsh Defiance. We've got Iran in deal with Oman. We've got Northwest train chaos after electricity went down in Manchester and all the trains are in the wrong place. Recovery powers. We've got Trump wins BBC ruling. The US president has been given a reprieve from having to hand over financial records. It is £10 billion defamation lawsuit against the channel for the 2021 Capitol riot that he invoked. So the BBC. But as part of his court thing, he said that he suffered financially, and so the BBC said, "Okay, if you suffered financially, show us your finances. Show us your finances to prove that." And he went, "No." So he's actually changed his plea now. He's not claiming that they it cost him financially. He's just claiming that it was a defamation case. It was just they deformed him. Right. Next up, we have OpenAI makes synthetic virus. I mentioned that. So it's not OpenAI, it's just AI in general. And then OpenAI rounds on Apple. The ChatGPT makers accused the iPhone group of trying to stem an employee exodus with a baseless trade secrets lawsuit. Cool. Next up, we got actually says Harvey Nichols in a death spiral as he sticks on a $40 million price tag. And we've got Greens and Refuck United over solar panel opposition. The dike-bound fields of South Kent historic Romney Marsh are the unlikely setting for Green Party and Refuck's consensus. Is it though? Is it unlikely? Is it unlikely? This is a story worth getting into, my friends. The insurgent parties, the left and right, are united in opposing proposals to develop 10% of the marsh for solar panels. Such common ground is in line with Andy Burnham's call for politicians to put place before party. It's arguably the proof that NIMBYism can mend even the weirdest of ideological schisms. I don't think there's that much between the Greens and Refuck. They're both parties that seem to scramble for policy in a lot of areas because they just don't bother thinking about it. They seem to be both a little aimless in that respect. They both have some fanatical followers, which is fine. But I don't think either of them are capable of governing a country. And I do think that both of them suffer from NIMBYism. As pointed out in the article, the Greens objected against having high-speed electric rail around the country as an alternative to everyone getting in their car and blasting pollutants out of their car and suffocating children to death and destroying the environment. They don't like that. They don't want to. They don't want new electricity pylons to be put in to upgrade the national grid to allow for renewable energy sources. They want all the cables to be buried at great cost. These are the same people who wanted the HS2 to be buried as it went through the Tory shires, because they didn't want it to ruin the view. At the moment, I don't give a fuck about the view. I really don't. I know that sounds really harsh, but we should be looking at global warming as in a war footing. And you know what? Once things get sorted, we probably won't need those solar panels in that particular field. But while we have the time, while that's the best way of doing it, so we can get the power from that place to the people who live near that place, instead of bringing it all the way down from Scotland, in which case it loses 50% of its power in the transmission over the hundreds of miles that it needs to take to get from Scotland down into the southeast. Then yeah, fair enough, put some fucking solar panels in a fucking field for a bit. I don't give a fuck. War footing. The world's on fire. This isn't a game. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I do agree with the Greens on a few things, but their NIMBYism does piss me off, I've got to say. Anyway, next up, we've got some more lies from the Metro, who are saying sitting room only at pubs. No, that's not a thing. That it's just not a thing. It's just not. They're going to stop people standing at the bar. No, they're not. We live in a world in which all nuance is gone. There was a llama farmer woman crying and saying her farm would have to shut because of a row of pylons. Why? There's a row of pylons cuts through Worthy Farm, where they have Glastonbury every year. Did you ever camp under the pylons? You can hear them buzzing at night. But there are literal pylons that they have. There's electricity pylons that run through Glastonbury. It's fine. I don't think the llamas are going to try and eat them. I don't think the llamas can climb them, even if they wanted to. But yeah, yeah. Okay. My natural instinct is utility over aesthetics. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna say this, Andy. My natural instinct is aesthetics over utility every time. That's why I hate brutalism and all that kind of architectural movement. But in this case, I'm prepared to put my ideals about aesthetics to one side. We need to save the planet, because it's not just humans that will wipe out. We'll wipe out all the fucking animals on the planet, apart from the cockroaches and the blobfish. I don't know what's going to survive this nonsense. Next year, the temperatures are going to surge 5 degrees above normal because of the El Nino effect, which is only just starting. But yes, Strange English Lyricist is talking about a bunch of stuff like strong CPD and... Sorry, I need to wrap up the show. Strong CPD and hemp oil and cod liver oil, good gentle exercise, occasional half dose of paracetamol have worked for me for pain for a degree. Literal morphine, not a bean. It's really interesting that some people do not respond to morphine. Chemicals work differently in different people's heads depending on the chemical composition of your head. For example, I know people that some painkillers work really well for and some they don't. For me, coffee's the mad one. I can drink a double espresso if I want to. I don't like them because it's too strong, but I could drink and fall asleep. It has no effect on my sleeping ability. I don't stay up awake all night because I've had a coffee after 6 o'clock. I can literally have a coffee at 11 o'clock at night and fall asleep with the coffee still in my hand, drunk, empty cup in my hand, and that's because whatever stimulant caffeine starts in other people, it just doesn't work that way on me because we're all different. And this is why I get so that was my chair going back, by the way. I was just moving my chair back. This is why I get a little bit antsy when people go, Yeah, when you're ill or there's got put something wrong with you or you complain about something and someone says you need this. No, because it might work for you, might not work for them, okay? Might not work for them. What you want to say is, here's what I do. And if that person goes, okay, thanks for that, leave it. Fucking leave it. Because there's people out there and they're like, oh, this secret concoction, it works for me. Go on, try it. And you're like, you feel better now, don't you? Don't you? You feel better now? And you're like, just because it works for you doesn't mean it's going to work for anyone else. We're all different. We're all little, beautiful, unique snowflakes. I have to overdose on codeine for it to take effect. That's why I don't take it anymore. Yeah. But you might find something else that works when Angry Pagan. You know, it might be cod liver oil tablets. It could be anything. You know, just keep, as long as you're not gonna get addicted to it. As long as you're not injecting anything up your arse. But just stay on the right side of the law. But yeah, people find out what works for them and what doesn't work for them. It's a good thing, you know. Graham, if you sorted the sound issues you had yesterday, the Daily Show, Trump, and Japan censoring story, I sent it to you on Instagram. Thanks for that, El. I'll have a look. At that. No, I haven't checked out the sound thing yet, and I need to because 1 o'clock today, I'm doing the agenda with Phil Morehouse. So I need to be working for that. So I'm gonna head off now and try and get my sound sorted. And all that's left to say is thanks so much for watching. Thanks for sticking with us. And like I say, look, if it's all getting a bit too much, take a break. Not just from this channel, but from fucking all the channels, you know, all the politics shit. If it's upsetting you, if it's all too much, just have a day off, have a week off, have a month off, however long it takes, and do the things that you enjoy. Please. Okay? Look after yourself. You got to put the mask on yourself before you put it on someone else when your plane is crashing into the sea. And make no mistake, the plane is crashing into the sea right now. So take care of yourselves. And don't let the bastards grind you down, because they won't win. They will not win. They might be winning now, but they're not going to win. Graham, I'm on my third cup of Death Wish coffee, and there is so much focus. It's like ADHD. Okay, so thanks so much for watching, and do us a favor, if you haven't given this video a like, give it a like. If you are not already subscribed, please subscribe. Just subscribe to the channel. And also, if you want to join it, you're very welcome to do that. And if you are subscribed, hit the bell notification icon, and you'll get a little notification before Phil and I come on at 1 o'clock today for the agenda. And until then, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.